Good afternoon from the Namoli Family Stadium. The Tampa Spartans starting a 3-game set against the Florida Tech Panthers. I'm Bruce Wozniak along with Taylor Stolworthy here to call the action for you between the number 3 ranked Tampa Spartans, who are 35-4, and the visiting Florida Tech Panthers, 27-18. Taylor, not quite the month that the Spartans had in March. They were undefeated in the entire month, and so far in April, only 3-3, and it doesn't get any easier when you have a Sunshine State Conference rival coming in.
Yeah, it's certainly tough, but even these 3 losses to start the brand new period of the calendar haven't really slowed the Spartans down. We're still one of the top teams in our region, still with a comfortable conference lead as well. We're 18-3 in conference play. St. Leo and Nova Southeastern are second and third with 17-7, 14-7 records respectively. If we're able to get a better series than the Panthers do this weekend, we could be en route to a conference title, and obviously we still have plenty of games to make up, but you got to feel good as a Spartans fan, even as we've started to cool off a little bit.
Well, and the fact that just being here at Namoli Family Stadium, the Spartans have not only played more than twice as many games at home as they have on the road, but a whopping 26-1 one-loss record as we get set to start this one. As I mentioned, the first of 3. They will play a doubleheader tomorrow. And leading off for Florida Tech is Ella Niles, center fielder, and the first pitch to her is outside for a ball. And starting pitchers, Taylor.
Yeah, the starting pitcher today for the Spartans is Gwen McGinnis. She's usually been the Game 1 starter for a lot of these series, and she is very much the strikeout queen for the Spartans, has 91 over 89 innings this season. Also enters with a team-best 14-2 record. Of course, it is only the best if you count a 12-0 record to be worse than 14-2, depending on how you value wins and losses. But she has also got a 1.02 ERA, which is only 5 points better than the team ERA of 1.07. So just a slightly above average pitcher for the Spartans rotation, but obviously she is one of the best pitchers in all of D2 this season.
You saw Niles foul off the second pitch of the at-bat, and then ball 2, and now goes back to even as she fouls off another one in a sun-splashed Namoli Family Stadium, I should say, here on a beautiful Thursday, as there's one high that makes the count go full. 86 degrees is our game time temperature. And now Niles ready for the pitch from McGinnis. There it is. And she will draw a base on balls to start off this game. So the Panthers get their lead runner aboard.
I think this might be a small strike zone from Tyrone Miller today. We also have Taylor Cornoyer as one of the infield umpires. So it'll be interesting to see how McGinnis and the eventual starter for Florida Tech kind of paint the zone in the circle. We roll to the bottom of the inning. It's the number 18, Alex Hendrian, the senior, who will be ready to go in the circle for the Panthers.
The left fielder, Chloe Furiello, she showed bunt for just a second. That was strike 1, and now the 0-1 to her is 1-1. As you saw, Kenna Kreidler popping up from her catching position, making sure to keep Niles honest over at first base. There's a successful bunt, and they do get the sacrifice. Niles advances to second, and Fariello is out number 1 here in this top of the first.
It's a great opportunity now for Celeste Casillas with a runner in scoring position. She and Haley Ryder are the most dangerous bats for the offense. Casillas has a .500 slugging percentage on the season. Ryder with a .647. You definitely want to have those two kind of do up at this stage of the order. And you also even have Schwartz in the mix as well, who's tied for Casillas with team lead for home runs with 6, but this is not a very home run friendly ballpark.
Casillas pops that one up, and ranging in from center field is Lily Keister to make the catch for out number 2. And so Celeste Casillas, the Florida Tech shortstop, goes down as out number 2 here in this top of the first inning. And that'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Miranda Schwartz. the third base player for the Panthers, and McGinnis ready for the first offering to her. And that one's going to be popped up and not playable, as we saw Alexa Russo ranging over from third base, hoping to make a play on it. And as a result, Schwartz will stay alive.
Yeah, it's always interesting when teams come to Tampa and, we compare some of the power numbers for the offenses. This Florida Tech team,
Schwartz will be out on a running catch in left field by Lauren Fantone. The Panthers get no runs on no hits. There are no errors, and Tampa coming to bat. We'll be back with that after this on TampaSpartans.tv. A, for all intents and purposes, uneventful top of the first inning for Spartans pitcher Gwen McGinnis. And now Taylor in the circle for Florida Tech.
Yeah, in the circle for them is Alex Hendrian. She has been the team's ace this season, leads the way with 18 starts and an 11-7 record, has thrown over 123 innings this season, and has been pretty efficient. Very much a pitch-to-contact type of player, has conceded 139 hits on the season, but has held opponents to just a 3.28 ERA.
Lauren Fantone in her usual leadoff position. We just saw her make the catch to end the top of the first defensively. And looking to get the Spartans offense on track here in their first at-bat of this game. And you saw strike one to her. And now the next pitch from Hendrian on the way. And does get the strike call. So an early 0-2 count for Alex Hendrian as she gets ready against Lauren Fantone. Pitch on the way, and that's going to be outside for a ball.
Yeah, those first two offerings are right on the corners of the plate. So it's good that Fantone didn't go down there for strike three. It can be very easy to get aggressive trying to protect here.
Bounces that one and is going to be safe. And they do always say that the tie goes to the runner. That was awfully, awfully close. And Lauren Fantone, who you saw go down, might have been a little worse for the wear, but seems to be all right. Talking over there to Denise Rubio, Spartans assistant coach. And so Fantone is aboard as Lily Keister strolls to the plate, the Spartans center fielder. And Keister happy to come to the plate with already a runner on base, as they're still looking at Fantone, and now the member of the training staff is going to come out, and head coach Leslie Cantor over to visit as well, just to check on her.
Yeah, hopefully Fantone is all right. It was kind of hard to tell exactly what happened. I think maybe tripped alongside contact with Mix or Lorenzo over at first base. You saw the second base player kind of range over to cover as Mix couldn't keep a good hold on the softball as it was hit her way, and it led to a photo finish that Fantone was thankfully safe for, and it looks like she's all right but might be a little shaken up, and I'd actually think it would be a good idea to maybe take her out here as a precaution, Tampa's going to be, I think, in a position where we're hosting regional play. Even if we lose out the rest of the season, I think we're still going to end up a top 2 team in the region. So they're actually going to keep her in. She's good enough to continue. But if you ever got an injury scare like this, I think it's better to play it safe, give the player a bit of a break. And, they can always come back in later if they're feeling good off the bench. But Fantone is good enough to continue, so Keister will be ready to likely advance
Let's
her.
not overlook, though, as you pointed out, Haley Mix bobbling that ball could have been a distraction for Fantone as she headed to first and maybe didn't have 100% of her concentration on running to first, and that one's going to be over to first in time. And so Fantone advances to second on the sacrifice by Keister. And that'll bring up the always dangerous Mariah Galehouse, Spartans' number 3 hitter.
Yeah, what a season for Mariah Galehouse. I mean, stellar numbers, 364, 455, 573. And, of course, that's not even the best aspect of her play in 2025. It has to be that she is, I'd say she'd be my pick for the best pitcher in D2 this season for softball. From the circle, she's boasted an .062 ERA, over 90 innings with a 12-0 record. She'll be active later this weekend, but, really living up to the Shohei Ohtani comparison I always give this season.
Galehouse bounces it to short, and they opt to go for Fantone, and she's back safely. And so a miscue by Celeste Casillas, as instead of throwing to first, she tried to get Fantone, and instead the Spartans come out on the winning end of that, as everybody's safe.
Yeah, I think they're even, actually, no, they're not grading that as an error. They did that for the first play of the game. That was a fielder's choice on Casillas. I just think that was the wrong move by Casillas. You've got one out already. I'd much rather, even if the base runner is able to run to third after you make the throw, get that second out because you had plenty of time to retire Galehouse. And a sacrifice doesn't bring the runner home in that situation.
And just like the play I was talking about where Fantone might not have had 100% of her concentration on the base running, your natural movement in that case, as Russo skies one to right field, that's caught for an out. And the relay in as Fantone advances to third. Your natural reaction as that shortstop is to fire to first. So that change in your thinking and all of a sudden an unnatural movement allows Fantone just enough time to get back. And you're right. The runner's going to advance to third, but it's such a natural movement. Why not just go to first? And instead, the Panthers are happy to get that fly out by Alexa Russo. That brings us down to Abby Sult, the number 5 hitter, and a chance for Florida Tech to potentially come away unscathed, although the Spartans do have runners on the corners. And the throw down to second is cut off as Galehouse is going to easily put 2 runners in scoring position.
Yeah, not a surprise. A smart play there. I think it was Lorenzo cutting off the throw because the double steal is kind of the goal if it's a bad throw to second there. So give Galehouse the free base and try to get this final third out.
1-0 to Salt, and does catch the corner of the strike zone, so the count even now.
I know Salt was enjoying playing away from our home run unfriendly ballpark throughout the road trip. She's now had 7 home runs in the season, has boosted her slugging percentage to .581.
Takes a good swing at that one and misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 outs and runners on second and third. Bottom of the first. And the pitcher, Hendrian, set with the next offering. Salt gets underneath that one. Calling for it is Lorenzo, and that will be out number 3. Spartans, no runs on no hits. There was 1 Panther error and 2 runners left on base. We're through 1 complete and still scoreless. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium as we get set for the top of the second inning. And for the Panthers, we're going to see the 5, 6, and 7 hitters this inning. Starts off with Haley Ryder, designated player. Interestingly, Taylor, one of 4 freshmen in Val Silvestrini's lineup for this game.
Yeah, you got to feel very kind of happy about this young Florida Tech team. They've had a pretty good season. Not incredible in conference play, 13-11, 27-18 overall. But they've got some of their best performers as some of the younger players on this team. Ryder being a notable standout with a 402, 456, 647 slash line as a freshman. She's definitely one to watch for years to come here in the Sunshine State Conference.
Holds the distinction of being the shortest player on the Florida Tech roster at 5 foot 1 inch. 2-1 to her, sends it to left field, and Fantone takes a couple strides back and makes the catch for out number 1.
I guess you could call her kind of the Jose Altuve of this team, a small player with a very good bat.
Haley Mix, who we talked about earlier, the defensive bobble from her first base position. This is her in the number 6 position, stepping into the batter's box for the Panthers. 1 ball, no strikes against Mix. And now fouls that one back and out of play.
It's kind of funny, Bruce, how we go from the smallest to the tallest player in the respective lineup, Mix being 5'10". Having that extra height is very good for defending first base because usually balls that would go a little bit high and away can be caught with the extra wingspan and extra arm length. Ironically, though, it was sort of a low grounder that was able to mess Mix up in the previous inning.
Strike 2 against Haley Mix. Gwen McGinnis ready, winds, delivers, and it's in the dirt. And the count goes even. That pitch, admittedly, did seem a little rushed on Gwen McGinnis's part. Bears down, next one on the way, and that's up high for ball 3.
The Panthers have done a good job in 2-strike counts. It feels like McGinnis is working with a tricky strike zone today, but, you know, credit to them for not going around too often.
Well struck ball and well fielded over to first for a routine ground out and 2 outs here in the top of the second for the Panthers.
I like that celebration by Kreidler and Solt over at first base after getting the ground out together. Of course, Kreidler running over to cover at first base after the ball was hit on the ground there. They were sort of able to kind of like celebrate each other for half a second.
Strike 1 to the number 7 hitter, which is Brooklyn Lorenzo, the second base player. Another one of the freshmen. And that one is not going to be playable. And Lorenzo stays alive.
Yeah, McGinnis has had 91 strikeouts this season. Surprisingly, none so far in their first 5 outs, but you know, this will definitely be a goal in this at-bat to end the inning with strike 3.
And does. Down goes Lorenzo, and down go the Panthers. 3 up, 3 down in that top of the second. No runs, no hits, no Spartan errors, and no Panthers runners left on base. We remain scoreless, and we'll be back with the bottom of the second after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Each of these teams coming in off of a loss as they get started with 3 games over a space of, let's call it 24 hours, with a scheduled doubleheader tomorrow. We'll have that action for you here on TampaSpartans.tv. Meanwhile, Kenna Kreidler, the Spartans catcher, leading off this bottom of the second.
Yeah, this is an old Tampa team, kind of conversely to Florida Tech, with only 2 underclassmen being Reynolds and Kreidler in the lineup. We actually don't have DiMartino in the lineup today. Seaweck at either the designated player position or, no, the shortstop position. So it's younger than somewhat normal for the Spartans, but Kreidler definitely kind of looks to be the focal point of the offense, I think, next year for the Spartans, and has really also been strong this season, too. 283, 460, 380 slugging. Notably, a 460 on-base percentage and 32 walks in 2025.
1 ball, 1 strike to Kreidler. Next offering coming from Hendrian, and there's a shot to left field and caught by Ferriello. And that'll take us to the number 7 hitter, Kate DeSimone. Designated player in this game. Someone that we could possibly see pitching in one of tomorrow's 2 games. Ball 1 to DeSimone.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we see DeSimone in the circle for the first or second game tomorrow. You know, her, Galehouse, and McGinnis have formed the real front end of this stellar Spartans rotation. And the trio all have ERAs below 150. And Kelsey Winters, who's been the only other starter and arm out of the bullpen for the Spartans, even she has been pretty solid with a 2.69 ERA on the season in just 13 innings. So, you know, Tampa's got 4 reliable players they can go to. And DeSimone, it's really been cool to see how she's grown as a pitcher over the last couple seasons, too. Used to pretty much exclusively be a first base player and occasional bench bat for the Spartans or designated fielder, but now a valuable player all around.
Way ahead in the count, 3-0. And then Hendrian does get the strike. DeSimone awaiting the 3-1. Here it is. And draws the base on balls. So Alex Hendrian issues her first walk of the game. And the Spartans have another base runner as the number 8 hitter Kylie Seaweck, the shortstop, up to bat for the home team.
Cool to see Kylie Seaweck getting her first start of the season here. She'll also be looking for her first base hit. In her limited appearances, hasn't gotten a hit just yet, although she has had 8 attempts.
Keeping an eye on DeSimone over at first, who had a good jump on that previous pitch. The 0-1 coming from Hendrian, and DeSimone, another big jump. No balls, 2 strikes. And the 0-2 fouled back to the screen. Kylie Seaweck looks down third base at her coach Leslie Cantor. Ready to give it another go. Alex Hendrian winds, delivers, and that's in the dirt. Count 1-2 against Seaweck. As you saw, the catcher, Danny Siegel, with the throw down to first. Keeping an eye on Kate DeSimone. A 1-2. Right back to the pitcher. And will they get the double play? They do. Nicely played by Celeste Casillas. Fielding it, stepping on second, throwing over to first. And so the Spartans, no runs, no hits, no errors, and still no runs in this game as we head to the top of the third. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Bruce Wozniak alongside Taylor Stolworthy as we get set to start the top of the third inning. The number 3 ranked Tampa Spartans playing host to the Florida Tech Panthers. Gwen McGinnis, Spartans pitcher, sends in strike 1 against the batter, Danny Siegel, who I had just mentioned defensively during the Spartans at bat. And quickly McGinnis with the next offering, and the count even at 1-1.
I think Siegel's been their most active catcher this season. Not the greatest of seasons at the plate, though, entering below the Mendoza line, but obviously this is a new day and a new chance to try to get on board.
Siegel fouled that one back. Behind in the count now, 1-2. And instant replay as she foul tips another one back to the screen. Gwen McGinnis had thrown 26 pitches through the first 2 innings. And you see that one called for a ball as Siegel trying to work this at bat and up McGinnis's pitch count. She's got herself back to even. Here's the 2-2. And up high as Siegel had to duck out of the way of that one. The count goes full.
I think this might be the third full count of the game for McGinnis. Tech Panthers have done a good job.
Swing and a miss, and down goes Siegel as the second strikeout of the game for Gwen McGinnis. That'll take us to the bottom of the order. And Malaya Nelson another one of those freshmen. She's the right fielder and promptly fouls that one down the third base line.
Nelson's batting pretty well this season, too. The second best qualified average at .336, .362, .418 slugging percentage. I think she's kind of fulfilling a reverse leadoff role, batting in the 9th spot in the lineup.
Interesting, though, that if there's enough activity, you go the 9, 1, and 2 hitters are all lefties, lefty hitters. As Gwen McGinnis ahead 0-2. That one's up high, however. 1-2 as Nelson squats, waits, swings, and that one's going to go out of play.
Nelson's been one of the first people to really foul things off of McGinnis. Most of the previous long at-bats just had McGinnis missing strike 3 offerings.
Another one. Nelson takes a nice walk out of the batter's box, trying to reset. And proceeds to foul off yet another as Malaya Nelson is really fighting through this at-bat, although you could make an argument, is really making Gwen McGinnis work for it and reaches for one that goes over towards the Spartans' dugout. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes all this time.
Yeah, incredible discipline from Nelson, seeing a ton of fastballs, going around early. That time doesn't get fooled by what admittedly was a pretty good changeup from McGinnis.
Another 1-2, and another foul ball. And as much as it's tempting to say something's got to give, look how many in a row this is that have been fouled off. Another one from McGinnis, and another foul by Nelson. And that will increase a pitch count quickly. Of course, the other challenge here is to not let frustration set in, as there's still another one fouled back by Malaya Nelson. keep your cool, and that goes for both McGinnis and Nelson.
Yeah, I think Nelson isn't as disappointed as McGinnis at the moment, though.
That one in the dirt, and if nothing else, the count finally goes even. So the 2-2, and Nelson does keep that one in play and flies out as Lauren Fantone on the run makes the catch from her left field position. And Nelson is out number 2 for the Panthers here in the top of the third. That brings us back to the top of the order. And Ella Niles and picks up where Nelson, for all intents and purposes, left off by fouling off the first pitch. She walked to start the game. And now waits for the 0-1 from McGinnis. That one's up high. Count will go even. A fantastic night weather-wise for softball here in West Central Florida. 1-1 and rung up as strike 2 by home plate umpire Tyrone Miller.
After that 12-pitch at bat, McGinnis is hoping that this one will be a little bit quicker.
High and outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Staying alive is Ella Niles has yet another full count. Gets a piece of that, and it'll drop for a base hit. Well placed by Ella Niles, and wins the full count pitch to keep the Panthers alive here in the top of the third with their first hit of the ball game.
That one got down in Bermuda Triangle. The infield playing pretty shallow, expecting not a lot of power from Niles, and just went over Seaweck's head.
This is Chloe Ferriello, the left fielder. Grounded out to third back in the first inning. And the 0-1 to her is fouled back. And McGinnis will hope to close out this half inning on her next pitch. Here is that 0-2. And well struck, but a routine fly out to Lauren Fantone for out number 3. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 Panther runner left on base in that top of the third. We'll be back with the Spartans half of the third after this on TampaSpartans.tv. The 35-4 Tampa Spartans hosting the 27-18 Florida Tech Panthers. As we will see this half inning, the 9, 1, and 2 hitters for Tampa. Starting off with Kenzie Reynolds, the Spartans' second base player, working against Alex Hendrian, who has thrown 26 pitches. And pitch number 27 is ball 1.
Tampa's going to hope for kind of a long inning, the same way that Florida Tech did last time around, but with more base runners, I'd assume, because there was 19 pitches in the first 2 at-bats of the inning for McGinnis in the circle. Did get 2 outs, but had a fight to get them.
You saw the swinging strike from Reynolds, the 1-1, and home plate umpire Tyrone Miller reels Reynolds back to the plate as the count goes to 1-2. Next pitch from Hendrian, and there's a base hit, the Spartans' first one of the game, as Reynolds is aboard with a single to start off the bottom of the third and put Tampa back to the top of the batting order.
Beautiful line drive there by Reynolds, just getting it over the third base player. And that sets the table for a very dangerous top of the Spartans order. And even if Fantone just uses her second at-bat to advance the runner, you've got the team batting average leader in Lily Keister on deck.
Let's not forget that Fantone reached on an error in the first and seemed to be injured, as this time she's going to reach in a unorthodox manner again. So runners on first and second as the Spartans, as you mentioned, Taylor, trying to build a threat, trying to stretch this inning out. 2 aboard and nobody out. And that is going to be the second error of the game for the Panthers in officially 2 innings, since it's 2.0 from a pitching perspective. Lily Keister ahead in the count, 1-0 here against Alex Hendrian. Eager to do some damage with teammates on first and second. Drops down a bunt and is successful in moving the runners up. That will, of course, be out number 1 of this third inning. So 2 runners in scoring position and only 1 out for the dangerous Mariah Galehouse.
You definitely love having Galehouse in a situation like this. Good play, ultimately, by the Panthers defense to get the out at first, because that was a really good bunt by Keister.
Mariah Galehouse hit into a fielder's choice in the first inning. Batting now in the third. Trying to put the first run of the game up on the board. And won't with that pitch as the count goes to 2-0.
It can be very tempting to maybe walk Galehouse here to try to get the bases loaded, get the force out at home, but you've got the power threats of Russo and Solt on deck, so it's a risky decision.
Strike called by Miller. Now the 2-1. Galehouse fouls that one off towards her team's dugout. Count goes even. I see where you're going with that, Taylor. And we see so many crazy plays over the course of a long season, and it's not out of the question that Galehouse could hit into a double play here. And so to walk her to get to Russo is probably not advisable. As you see that one bounce to third, checks the runner at third. Over to first it goes for out number 2. And a different complexion now as Alexa Russo strolls to the plate, hoping to keep the inning alive. Flew out to right field in the first and needs to get something here if the Spartans are going to finally get on the board.
Yeah, just any base hit would be useful. Of course, a walk helps too, but I know Russo's going to hope to hit into the gaps or a little bit further.
Pops it up, called for by the catcher, and dropped. Danny Siegel, what should have been a routine play, and I'll go back to this expression that I just used, over the course of a long season, unfortunately, you're just going to have one just like that, and Alexa Russo probably said thank you very much on her way back to the batter's box.
Yeah, that could be a costly miscatch or even error, because I think that might get counted as the third error of the game for the Panthers if Russo can get revenge later in the at-bat and draws level 1-1, because that was out number 3 right there. Russo got under the first pitch, getting aggressive, and that would have squandered a great Spartans opportunity.
Russo leaned back. Count is even. And that one bounced foul over towards the Spartans dugout. The 1-2, way outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and the plot thickens. So indeed, the drop by Siegel starting to loom. Here's the 2-2, and Russo sends another one back to the screen. It's not actually scored an error. It's no different from if the first base player chased over towards the dugout in foul territory and dropped it. So it should just be 2 errors by Florida Tech. The scoreboard has it at 3. Two-two. Russo bounces that one. And this starting to resemble that at-bat that we saw from Malaya Nelson. And she really stretched out Gwen McGinnis.
Yeah, now Russo kind of filling in the role there, and obviously higher pressure is in the position that McGinnis was. A base hit wouldn't be too deadly if she had ended up with it, but for Russo it would, because it could score too.
Russo smacks another one foul down the third base line. And the longer this at-bat goes, Taylor, the more Danny Siegel collar tightening around her neck.
Yeah, and someone again like Russo, you're worried that if she does get one of these balls hit cleanly, she'll take it far.
And a nice attempt at shortstop by Casillas, but not able to make a play. And so Russo does, in fact, come through and keep the inning alive. And the Spartans still will have runners on the corners. And now a 1-0 lead.
That diving play by Casillas saved the run, because if that gets past her, Fantone gets the green light to come home, and it's 2-0 Spartans. Russo maybe even gets to scoring position if they send the ball home on the throw. But she is able to dive. It brings home the run from third, but it does prevent 2 from scoring.
Pitch to Abby Salt. Sends that one foul down the right field line. Gave it a good ride. Out of play, however.
Yeah, I mentioned in Salt's first step at, she was definitely excited to have a couple of road trips with the Spartans, given that she is a very strong power hitter, and this is not a very power hitter-friendly ballpark because the walls are so far back. You have a lot of home runs that would be out of the park in most Sunshine State Conference stadiums, be flyouts here. And that's why her numbers had been a bit quieter.
Salt, and she's going to get a base hit as Fantone crosses the plate, and a 2-0 Spartans lead. 2 outs in the bottom of the third, and Tampa still with a runner in scoring position as Alexa Russo is at second base. And the number 6 hitter, Kenna Kreidler, to the batter's box.
Yeah, the Spartans, anytime they get momentum, it's extremely dangerous, and not a surprise to see a conference in the circle between Siegel and Hendrian as they talk things over. But, you know, even with Solt, unable to really capitalize too much on her home run prowess here at home, she's had a couple of home runs overall, our center field and left field wall, does have the ability to hit it with a little less power like that to bring home the run and keep her average well above 300.
Kenna Kreidler flew out to left field in the second. And now batting here on the bottom of the third with a chance to bring home Alexa Russo. although Hendrian gets the strike call there. Bounces it foul. No balls, 2 strikes against Kenna Kreidler.
Yeah, Kreidler mentioned in her previous at-bat, continuing her very strong season earlier this year, even set the Spartan record for most walks in a game.
Here's the 0-2, and does get the strikeout. That one looked like it was going to be ball 1, but the Spartans do damage. They get 2 runs on 3 hits. There was 1 Florida Tech error. UT leads it 2-0 through 3 complete. We'll be back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium, Tampa Spartans have taken a 2-0 lead. Getting ready to start the top of the 4th. This is the beginning of 3 games in approximately 24 hours between these 2 teams, as there's a doubleheader scheduled for tomorrow that you can catch right here on TampaSpartans.tv. And the first game of that doubleheader scheduled to start at 1 p.m. Eastern Time.
I think 24 hours is a good estimate. The first one, of course, tomorrow starting at 1 p.m. And unless you have one of those 17-inning playoff games, they go really relatively quickly. So it'll probably be about 20 hours elapsed from right now by the time the series comes to a conclusion and we see whether the Spartans are back on a winning streak or if Florida Tech turns their losing woe around, as they actually have 1 loss entering this weekend series.
Outside from Gwen McGinnis, 2 balls and 1 strike. And there's one to left field. Fantone can't get to it. Put her glove out, and the ball gets all the way to the wall. And a stand-up double for Celeste Casillas. And a nice start to this top of the 4th for Florida Tech.
They certainly need that start. They're trailing by 2 after the couple of plays from the previous inning brought a run home. There was the dropped foul ball by Siegel, and of course, a couple of base hits along the way.
Kreidler popping up right away from behind home plate. Miranda Schwartz, the third base player, the hitter for Florida Tech. She flew out to left field in the first inning and now drops down a bunt. And McGinnis over to first. And so Casillas moves up to third. And the Panthers that close to cutting the deficit in half, as there's only 1 out here in the top of the 4th. This is Haley Ryder, the designated player.
Interesting call there for the sacrifice. I think you normally see a call like that in a tied or a 1-run game, and they got her.
And they do get her. Wow. The way that Kreidler bounces up from her crouch position behind home plate is impressive. And she saw enough of an opening, enough of a leadoff by Casillas that she wanted to fire down there and was successful getting it to Alexa Russo. And the dramatic punch out by Taylor Cornway, the infield umpire, covering over there. And all of a sudden, the Panthers not only without a base runner, but 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. And that one's fouled down the third base line.
And this is where that sacrifice bunt kind of comes back to harm you here, because sure, you get a runner to cut the deficit in half to third, but you're giving them a free out to work with, and now that runner's off the base path. You got to start from 0 with 2 outs.
Well, the old expression was, my opinion in 5 cents will get you a cup of coffee, and my opinion on that was they said, look, we're going to need to really manufacture some runs here against this Tampa team at home, even if it is an unconventional sacrifice, as you see the strikeout there for out number 3. So the Panthers are done in the top of the 4th, no runs on 1 hit, and no Spartan errors. Tampa in the lead 2-0 through 3.5. We'll be back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium, and the Spartans coming to bat in the bottom of the 4th with a 2-0 lead. 7, 8, 9 hitters due up this half inning. Started by Kate DeSimone, Spartans designated player. She walked in the 2nd inning. Alex Hendrian, the Florida Tech starting pitcher, has thrown 51 pitches entering this inning. I'll save you the math. It's an average of 17 per. These teams started off hitless through the first couple of innings, and all of a sudden, 5 hits between the 2 teams combined as DeSimone bounces that one to short, and Casillas fires over to first base for out number 1.
Yeah, and Tampa's also had 2 runners reach base via errors as well. The first time was on a ground ball that was bobbled by Mix. The second one on a bunt that was bobbled by Schwartz. So Tampa's done a good job of getting base runners, even though they've been somewhat quiet to start the game with hits. And, of course, that third error that I know we've kind of talked about, whether it was an error or not in foul territory behind home plate, allowed Russo to score the first run on the second hit of the day for the Spartans. And then eventually it was Soltz able to bring home another one right after.
Kylie Seawick, the batter here, hit into a double play in the 2nd. And here's the pitch from Hendrian. And a boisterous strike call from home plate Tyrone Miller.
Now, the good news for Seawick is she won't hit into a double play again here. Just a very unlucky first at bat of the game.
Fouls it back to the screen.
She's still looking for her first hit of the season, and she was able to get the ball up the middle in her last at bat, but Casillas was able to pick it up, get the force out herself at second, and then fire a quick throw to Mix to end what was the 2nd inning.
The 1-2 now coming to Kylie Seawick. Stays alive, 2-2. Hendrian ready. Next pitch on the way, and Seawick gets a piece of that one, but a routine catch for Celeste Casillas from her shortstop position, and there's 2 outs in the bottom of the 4th.
One thing I think that's notable for the left-handed batters coming up here. Reynolds getting set up in the left-handed batter box has to deal with the sun on the left field line. Always around this time of day for baseball games at Tampa, there's always a note for the fielders they have to deal with looking straight at the sun when they're playing defense. It can sometimes mess people up. It's the reverse here at the Namoli Family Stadium. It's the batters that at the corner of their eye have to deal with the sun setting, and that could kind of get in the way, messing with them at the plate.
This is Kenzie Reynolds, the number 9 hitter, who singled in her previous at-bat in the third. Bounces that one. Fielded by Hendrian, and over to first in time for out number 3. The Spartans, no runs, no hits, no Panther errors, and no Spartan runners left on base. We're through 4 complete. The Spartans continue to lead 2-0. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. The Florida Tech Panthers getting ready to bat here in the top of the 5th. They trail 2-0. And Gwen McGinnis with her 67th pitch of the game. And this is the first base player, Haley Mix. And the 0-1 on the way to her. Leans back. 1 ball, 1 strike.
It was going to be a longer 4th inning for McGinnis, if not for a great play by Kreidler with a runner at third. Was able to get a successful pickoff throw after taking, I think it might have been a ball down low, but saw that the base runner had a little bit too large of a lead and was able to throw her out on an impressive play.
The 1-2, and Mix holds back as the count goes even. On the pitch before that one, it looked as though Tyrone Miller's strike zone has expanded as the game has gone along. I thought it was going to be, there's one fouled off. I thought it was going to be one call and he gives the other, and you base it on what you've seen up until this point.
Yeah, the start of the game, it really felt like McGinnis couldn't find the zone to save her life, even though she was pretty much on the corners most at bats. But her and Hendrian, I think, have both started to find more of those close strike calls to go their way as we've gotten to the 4th and now 5th innings here. So interesting to kind of see how that evolves as kind of the game progresses more.
The 2-2 sent to center field. Lily Keister strides in and makes the routine catch. And down goes Haley Mix, which will bring up Brooklyn Lorenzo. Lorenzo, the second base player. She struck out back in the 2nd inning. And gets underneath that one. And calling for it is Abby Salt and makes the catch for out number 2.
Yeah, you're on 74 pitches after 4 2/3 innings. Stamina's not a problem for a player like McGinnis. She could go over 110 to 15 pitches in a game if she needs to, but it's always great when you can get a quick out like that when you've had a lot of long battles. And actually, they might be going to the bench for Siegel here. Looking at it, I think they're calling off the bench the number 22. Are they flipping the lineup? Or is that Siegel? I can't tell the number. I think it actually is Siegel. But need her to turn fully to the left for us to see the full jersey.
It is her. It is Siegel. I'm not sure what the discussion was.
Yeah, there was a bit of because there was, I think, a coach talking to an umpire. That was the question.
And McGinnis with the pitch to Danny Siegel. Siegel, the catcher, trying to keep her team's 5th inning alive. And Tyrone Miller rings up that strike. 1 ball, 1 strike to Danny Siegel. And fouls that one back to the screen.
You could see Siegel kind of like push the bat into the dirt, a little disappointed, because that was a fastball right down the middle, just couldn't keep up with the velo. She knows she's probably not going to see that again.
1-2 outside. And Siegel working here against McGinnis, as time will soon become a factor for these Panthers. Swings and misses, and that will be the 4th strikeout of the game for Gwen McGinnis, as Florida Tech goes down in order. No runs, no hits, no Spartan errors, and no Florida Tech runners left on base. We are now through 4.5. Tampa continues to lead 2-0. Back with more softball after this on TampaSpartans.tv. The 1, 2, and 3 hitters for the Spartans here in the bottom of the 5th. Lauren Fantone, Lily Keister, and Mariah Galehouse. Facing starting pitcher Alex Hendrian, whose pitch count is up to 60. Gotten it down a little bit. That means that she's averaging 15 per inning as opposed to what had been 17. Fantone has reached on errors in both of her at-bats in this game, the 1st and 3rd innings.
Yeah, eventually came around to score after getting on via that error back in the 3rd. Advanced home on the Solt RBI.
Here is the 1-0. And I think they heard that one clear across campus as Miller calls strike 1. Fantone swings, foul tip, rolls back. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, think about that strike 1 call. If you were over in the Furman building across the street, you could probably hear it, even if you were in the middle of a music class up there. Now it's a new building on the Tampa campus from a few years ago, and gives you a good view of the field, too, if you're by one of the windows.
Hendrian with the 1-2. Fantone fouls that one off, out of play. Only 2 hits in 5 innings for visiting Florida Tech. It's been a tough go for them against Gwen McGinnis and company. The 1-2 to Fantone, foul tip.
That's honestly just the effect of our starting rotation, Bruce. I mean, when you have a team with a 1.04 ERA, you're very often going to get games like this where opposing offenses just struggle a bit at the plate. There is still time for the Panthers to come back, though.
Fantone, an equal opportunity foul ball sends that one over the other way.
Conversely, Tampa's also been relatively quiet. They've done more on offense against Hendry in that big 3rd inning, but they've only mustered 3 hits, mainly capitalizing on a couple fielding miscues.
Fantone gets under that one, called for and caught out in left field by Ferriello. I think because of those errors, Taylor, I think it has felt like the Spartans have done a lot more than they've actually done.
Yeah, without those errors, it'd still be a 0-0 pitcher's duel because, it was that dropped foul ball by Siegel that actually kept an inning in a rally going for the Spartans that eventually Tampa brought 2 runs home on.
Lily Keister fouls off the first pitch that she sees here in inning number 5.
I know Keister's happy that she finally has a chance to swing the bat instead of drop sacrifice bunts down. She's had 2 of them today.
Hendry ready. Pitch on the way. And Keister gets under that one. And it will be caught by her center field counterpart, Ella Niles, for out number 2. Mariah Galehouse to the batter's box for the home team. 0 for 2 in this game. And the Panthers have to hope that she does not get on track offensively as she takes ball 1. Galehouse, a long, storied career here at the University of Tampa. And now the 1-0 on the way to her. Goes low for ball 2. One of the players that's gotten some bonus time in a Spartans uniform thanks to the COVID years.
Yeah, and she's making the most of this. I think it will be final season with the Spartans. Just dominance. As I'd have to say, she's got to be MVP for all of D2 softball this season. Batting is one of the best players in the conference, 364, 455, 573, and being unhittable in the circle with an 0.62 ERA.
This is her 6th season as a Spartan. As you see, that one fouled perhaps off of her foot. Perhaps off of her foot as she does walk it off. 2019-2020 was her first season in a Spartans uniform, and all she's done has gotten better and better every year to the point where this season a 0.62 earned run average as a pitcher. And pops that one up, called for and caught by Hendrian for out number 3. So a quick 5th inning for the Spartans. No runs, no hits, no Panther errors, and no Spartans runners left on base. The home team still leads, however, 2-0. We'll be back with the top of the 6th after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Two to nothing, the Spartans lead it as Florida Tech bats here in the top of the 6th inning. This is Malaya Nelson. The freshman right fielder. And a base hit for her the other way. And the Panthers, well, the fact is, they bring the tying run to the plate.
Yeah, Niles does represent equalizer if both of them could go home. They've got 6 outs to score twice, so I wonder if they give the Spartans an out potentially on the sacrifice with the hopes of cutting the deficit in half and starting to build up for it. Because, of course, on one hand, you don't want to lose one of your remaining 6 outs, but on the other, how often do you have a base runner against McGinnis? And you really want to put yourself in a position to maximize your chances of scoring.
Yeah, I think you could argue that the good news is they still have 6 outs to manufacture 2 runs, and the bad news is they only have 6 outs to manufacture 2 runs and make that 5 outs now. As you see the successful sacrifice by Niles.
What a play by Russo, the third base player. Started her career at second base, moved to the hot corner after, I believe it was Corinne Miner graduated, and has kind of filled in that position for a while. And, she's got a very powerful arm. That was an incredible throw to first because Niles almost had a perfect bunt for a hit on the sacrifice play, but out by half a step because Russo was right there.
Chloe Ferriello, you saw her. She was off to the races. Thought that she had successfully dropped down that bunt. And another foul.
Ferriello's speedy, has 22 stolen bases on the year. Her and Niles, the fastest players on this roster, they've accounted for 56 of the 110 Panthers stolen bases so far. And they've only failed 10 stolen base attempts.
1-2, there's a base hit. Well struck by Ferriello. The runner will come around and score. And Florida Tech cuts the deficit in half on an RBI single by Chloe Ferriello. As racing home was Nelson. And so it took 5 1/3 innings, but the Panthers finally get on the scoreboard. So hope remains for the visitors, as you see Kreidler popping up right away, keeping a close eye on Ferriello over at first, as the teammate Celeste Casillas in the batter's box. Casillas, keep in mind, doubled in her last at-bat, and there's another base hit for her, as the Panthers suddenly finding their hitting shoes. Runners on first and second with only 1 out.
And now it's a really tricky decision as we see Cantor headed out to the circle and Galehouse coming on down. Is that Galehouse? No, it isn't. That was Reynolds. She moved over to center field with the other outfielders. I was wondering if they were going to make a call to the bullpen, get someone in to try to get out of the jam. Obviously, Cantor has faith in McGinnis, so I don't think they're going to make that change. But very dangerous now because the tying runs at second. Go-ahead runs at first. Do you think the Panthers will bunt here to try to move the runner to third? It puts 2 outs on the board, but you also, of course, risk the Spartans' defense being able to make that play.
I don't. I think they're starting to feel confident enough that they feel they can do it without that. I think the Panthers are really feeling themselves. This has been a big shot in the arm for them. And look at that. A ball all the way to the outfield wall, a stand-up double, and the Panthers not only come all the way back, but take the lead. A big top of the 6th, and only 1 out. They lead 3-2.
That is a massive bases-clearing double. They have just got McGinnis figured out. Fantone did a good job, or Keister did a good job trying to keep up with that in center field, but that was headed to the wall, and now it looks like they are going to make the change, and it will be Galehouse making her way from right field to the circle.
Yeah, clearly Leslie Cantor was only going to give Gwen McGinnis that much rope and decided, I've seen enough. Let's go to Galehouse, try to change our fortunes and keep this a 1-run game. And credit Florida Tech. This was a team that was down 2-0 and was really struggling just to get hits, never mind get a run on the board. And they just hit the gas pedal and did not look back.
Yeah, I mean, they just got into a zone as a team, and they found some clutch base hits. They've hit the ball hard, and It just was falling the right way for them, and there's not a lot you can do as the Spartans in that situation. Now you're just hoping that Galehouse can finally cool them off after those back-to-back-to-back big plays.
So for Haley Ryder, the Florida Tech designated player, a different look now, as she had faced McGinnis twice in this game, and now instead goes head-to-head with Mariah Galehouse as the Panthers have inserted a pinch runner. Audrey Garule on second base now for the visitors. And Galehouse with the first pitch to Haley Ryder. And it is strike one.
I like the introduction of Galehouse from the bullpen here. I mean, what a season she has had. 0.62 ERA and a 12-0 record, and if the Tampa Spartans make the comeback happen, she'd be in line for win number 13. But obviously, they're going to need to make up one run over the next 6 outs or more if the Panthers score the player at second.
That strike two was evidence of the widened strike zone, as she does get the strikeout on 3 straight pitches. That second pitch looked like it was going to be a ball. Miller called it a strike. And so 3 consecutive by Galehouse to start this relief appearance, and now there's 2 away for Florida Tech in the top of the 6th. And that brings up Haley Mix and rings up another strike. These pitches are looking far enough outside from our vantage point up here that I thought clearly the streak of consecutive pitches for a strike was going to end. But now it does after 4 straight. Ball 1. And there's strike 2. The temptation is to say Haley Mix perhaps squeezing the bat a little bit more on this pitch, but her team has the lead. They're feeling pretty good. There's one in the dirt, and they'll throw it over to third. Do they get the runner? They do not. As Taylor Cornway, the umpire, over there to signal safe. And so the pinch runner, Garule, now at third. And the 2-2 bounced back to Galehouse, fires over to first, and that will do it for the Panthers. However, not before they get 3 runs on 4 hits. There were no Spartan errors and 1 Panther runner left on base. We are through 5.5, and Florida Tech now leads at 3-2. We'll be back with the Spartans half of the 6th after this break on TampaSpartans.tv. The Tampa Spartans have some work to do offensively now, as their 2-0 lead has disappeared and turned into a 3-2 deficit as we get set to start the bottom of inning number 6. And for you, Tampa, we will see the 4, 5, and 6 hitters. That means Alexa Russo starting things off.
Tampa's had some pretty big comebacks earlier this season, but today was the Panthers sort of with the flip of the scoreboard back in the top of the sixth, and it'll be up for the Spartans to respond. But like you mentioned, good news is that we've got our heart of the order, 4, 5, 6 coming up.
The home plate umpire, Tyrone Miller, reporting some changes, thus the delay in starting here in the bottom of the sixth.
Yeah, kind of a mix of changes at the plate and on the field. Garul was a pinch runner for Schwartz. She's back on defense. Tampa, of course, have now in right field Joey Trawick, who will now be, I think, the designated player in exchange for McGinnis. So even though she's in the lineup, she's not in the batting order. So that's something kind of interesting to note, too. No other defensive changes, though, for the Spartans.
And now Tyrone Miller was over talking to Spartans head coach Leslie Cantor, and he's going to dust off home plate, and we'll be ready for the action to resume as Florida Tech pitcher Alex Hendrian will throw pitch number 75 of the game, facing Alexa Russo. And it is on the way. And a shot that is fielded nicely and over to first in plenty of time for out number one. A great throw there across the diamond by Celeste Casillas.
That's a big first out of the inning because Russo hit it well, but just a very good grab and throw from short.
That'll bring up the Spartans' first base player, Abby Solt. She popped out to second base in the first inning and then had an RBI single in the third, and that one almost hit her. Solt leaned back just enough to avoid any contact. Next pitch on the way. And so Hendrian to both sides on her first two pitches as she is behind in the count, 2 balls, no strikes. Swung on, called and caught, making the catch Brooklyn Lorenzo for out number 2. And we were talking before about how many outs the Panthers had left, and all of a sudden the Spartans down to their last 4.
Yeah, and if there's an out right here for Kreidler, you'd have your 7, 8, and 9 hitters trying to keep the game alive in the next inning. This is exactly where you want to be if you're the Panthers. You'd love the 1, 2, 3 inning right here.
And let's see if the Spartans show some urgency, as you saw Miller ring up the strike. 2 down in the bottom of the 6th. And Alex Hendrian, give her credit, the way that she has navigated her way through this game, and her teammates giving her the run support that she needed as she gets ready for her 1-1 offering to Kenna Kreidler. It's on the way, swung on, and bobbled over to first in plenty of time, however, for out number 3. So the Spartans, no runs, no hits, no Panther errors, and no U-Tampa runners left on base. They are done through 6. The visitors lead at 3-2. We'll be back with the top of the 7th after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Bruce Wozniak and Taylor Stolworthy here at Nemoli Family Stadium as Mariah Galehouse, who came on in relief, looking to handcuff the Panthers here in the top of the 7th, give her team a chance to scratch out at least one run in the bottom of the 7th. As we have a change for Florida Tech with Jillian Moeller coming into bat.
Muller's hitting 211, 348, 289 on the season.
Pinch hitting for Brooklyn Lorenzo out of the number 7 spot. And the first pitch to her is right back to Galehouse, who had trouble and flips it over in time. And so, by the skin of their teeth, Moeller is put down as out number 1 here in the top of inning number 7 by the Spartans, Mariah Galehouse and Abby Salt. And Florida Tech head coach Val Silvestrini talking to home plate umpire Tyrone Miller. So apparently another change. And indeed, we will see Lena Pollock come in to pinch hit.
Yeah, trying just a couple of new bats right here, giving them an opportunity, seeing if, they're feeling motivated off the bench to get on board.
Lena Pollock in the number 8 spot in the lineup. And the 0-1 to her. Pollock looks at that one, and it's called for strike 2. Elena Pollock ready. Mariah Galehouse ready. Pitch on the way. Swung on, and that one will drop for a base hit. And Lena Pollock is aboard here in the top of inning number 7. And that is hit number 7 for Florida Tech so far in this game.
That's a very big hit for Pollock, only a sophomore, being able to get a single past one of the best pitchers in the nation this year. And just for her second hit of the season.
And now Malaya Nelson, the 1-0 to her. And the count goes even. Nelson, who we will remember for the long at-bat against Gwen McGinnis. And drops down a bunt and throw over in time for out number 2, although they do, of course, successfully advance Pollock to second base. And so 2 away for the Panthers here in the top of inning number 7.
That was one of the bunts you'd see out of like a movies. It went and literally stopped on a dime in the dirt. Literally landed right in front of Kreidler, who was just able to get the throw in time.
Ella Niles, as we're back to the top of the order, sends that one foul, and it is caught for out number 3. So the Panthers, no runs, 1 hit. There were no Spartan errors, and 1 Panther runner left on base. We will go to the bottom of inning number 7 with the Panthers leading 3-2 after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Alex Hendrian, the Florida Tech starting pitcher, looking to close this out as the Spartans are 3 outs away from what will have been a comeback win for Florida Tech. Tampa led 2-0 after 5 complete. They scored both of their runs in the bottom of the third, but then put up 3 in the top of inning number 6 as Kate DeSimone batting here in the bottom of the 7th. She walked in the 2nd and then ground out to short in the 4th inning. Hendrian has thrown 82 pitches. Her next one on the way. And DeSimone looks at that one for strike 1.
Tampa had a couple of late surges on offense before. Wonder how they'll be able to do here against Hendrian in this brand new frame.
And DeSimone, that one will drop in off the glove of Brooklyn Lorenzo. And so Tampa gets the leadoff runner aboard here in the bottom of the 7th. And just like that, the Spartans are actually going to make a change and send Ava Ramirez in as a pinch hitter, and all of a sudden she represents the winning run.
This is a big chance for Ava Ramirez to try to set the table for the Spartans and convert. She comes from West Georgia and hasn't had too many opportunities to really shine with the Spartans this season. No RBIs, only batting .200, but this is a big opportunity, and Cantor trusts her to be able to do the job, whether it is to maybe drop a bunt down, get the tying run to scoring position, or maybe try to find a base hit and set the table for Reynolds or whoever's coming in for Reynolds potentially.
Pitch from Hendry, and Ramirez showing bunt, drops it down, and it's bobbled, and they do not get Ramirez at first. And Tampa has runners on first and second with nobody out here in the bottom of inning number 7. The change by Cantor pays off as Ramirez aboard on that bunt that just was not fielded cleanly. And is Leslie Cantor going to make another change at the plate?
I'd imagine it's a pinch running change. I mean, leading at second is DeSimone. I wonder if you have a faster runner in there for her, but certainly I think as well for Ava Ramirez, you'd probably want a faster runner too, depending on where she goes. Reynolds, I think maybe Reynolds was back in the dugout, but they're going to bring her back up to the plate for this appearance, and indeed, here comes a pinch runner. I think she might have, Cantor might have been ready to bring up a Ashley Manti type of player in this spot, but I think she's going to have Reynolds bunt and see if the runners can get to second and third, where a hit would win the game.
So Devin Hammonds is the pinch runner over at first, and Kate DeSimone is on second. Kenzie Reynolds is the number 9 hitter. She singled in the 3rd inning and then ground out to the pitcher in the 4th. And there is bunt shown by Reynolds.
Look at where Schwartz is playing. That's the thing I want to note. She is sitting very far in because she knows the goal. Drop the bunt down, get the winning run to second, get the tying run to third, and allow the top of the order to try to score.
Next pitch on the way, bunt shown again. Reynolds does lay it down and does her job and gets the runners over to second and third, and only 1 out. So Tampa back to the top of the order, and the tying run over at third base. The winning run at second. And they're going to talk about this out in the pitching circle. The Panthers themselves not under the leadership of any member of the coaching staff. So the battery and the battery and the infielders all in the circle there as Lauren Fantone, who's had an interesting game, reached on a couple of errors. And then the other plate appearance, Chloe Ferriello making the catch to retire Fantone in inning number 5.
And now notice where the defense is setting up again. Schwartz playing very far in, expecting something slapped her way. I don't think Tampa would go for the squeeze.
Fantone gets under it and called for, and the catch is made by Siegel. And that one hit off of the safety net. And so Fantone is still alive.
Sigh of relief for Fantone there, because that could have been out number 2, but the net kind of saved her that time.
Next pitch coming from Hendrian. Fantone bounces off of Hendrian, and the tying run does cross the plate as Fantone gets the big pat on the back from assistant coach Denise Rubio over at first base. And all of a sudden, 2 outs, but the Spartans have to feel as though they're in the driver's seat, not laying down after they watch the visitors come up with 3 runs in the top of the 6th. Some clutch softball here by the home team to tie this game. And an opportunity with Lily Keister stepping into the batter's box. As you see the conference taking place out in the pitching circle. And this has been a game within a game. You have the pitching change that Tampa makes right after they go down 3-2. Then you have Hendrian going the distance, pitching really well, but the Spartans just continuing as they've done all season to find a way to come back. And now they've got Hendrian on her heels as they've tied the game.
It's the 3rd time today Fantone gets a successful outcome off a fielding miscue. The ground ball not being able to be recovered by the pitcher. If she did, runner probably doesn't make it home from 3rd, or she tries to go for the play at the plate, but instead is able to get the run home as she's also out at 1st. And now, of course, sets up a situation for Keister to try to walk it off. Can Hendren complete 7 innings? I imagine if we go to extra, she'd come back, or maybe they'd go with the number 16.
Tremendous gap between second and short, as Keister is charged with trying to bring home Devin Hammonds from 3rd. As you saw that pitch called strike 1. And easier said than done, but that is a juicy gap between second and short. There's a routine grounder short over to 1st. And so the Spartans are retired, but not before they tie it up. 1 run on 2 hits. There were no Panther errors. 1 Spartans runner left on base. We will go to extra innings. After this break, we'll be back with the top of the 8th here on TampaSpartans.tv. Extra innings at Namoli Family Stadium. I'm Bruce Wozniak alongside Taylor Stolworthy as the Tampa Spartans ranked number 3 in quite a challenge here from the visiting Florida Tech Panthers, as Mariah Galehouse, who had come on in relief of Gwen McGinnis, starts off the top of inning number 8 with strike 1 against number 2 hitter Chloe Ferriello, the Panthers left fielder. And that one's fouled down the third base line. She quickly falls behind 0-2. You could start the debate about Does this favor the Spartans because they have come back so many times this season? Or could you debate the other way and say eventually their luck is going to run out and you can't put yourself in that position too many times or it'll eventually catch up with you? Bounced to short, and Seaweck over to Salt for out number 1.
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. I think Tampa's got a better chance of converting. Also, being the home team is huge in extra innings because when you enter the bottom of an inning tied and you get a base runner, there's no reason you don't just sacrifice them because you only need 1 run to score. We don't have the extra inning runner rules that do an even better job of favoring the home team in Major League Baseball, where you start with a runner on second. That's where if you're the home team and it's tied, sacrifice, sac fly, you win the game. You have to do a bit more work, but it's generally good when you can end the game on your own terms, and you're always going to get a chance to bat if you're the Spartans, and that's always reassuring when you're here in the 8th, 9th, and 10th innings and beyond.
Let the record show that the runner on second base in extra innings took place in international softball well before it was ever adopted by MLB. And as you said, it is not the case here. However, do the Spartans have their hitting shoes on now? Keep in mind that Florida Tech was really struggling to get base hits, and then all of a sudden really came alive. And in the chess match, Leslie Cantor says, "I see that." And so here comes Mariah Galehouse. So here we are, the 3-1. And she does get the strike call there.
Now the question is for Florida Tech, do you see Sammy Murphy or Kelsey Hahn potentially continue the chess match in the 8th inning?
And Casillas bounces that one to Russo, fires over to Salt, and that is out number 2 for the Panthers here in the top of the 8th inning. And that brings the cleanup hitter for Florida Tech, Miranda Schwartz, to the plate. Schwartz to Russo to Salt, and just like that, the Panthers are done in the top of the 8th. No runs, no hits, no Spartan errors, and no Florida Tech runners left on base. Tampa with a chance to win it in the bottom of the 8th when we come back after this on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium, and let's see if the Tampa Spartans have another comeback win in them. They've already rallied to tie it after they fell behind 3-2. And this is about where you want to be, meaning the number 3, 4, and 5 hitters, starting with Mariah Galehouse, who comes in to try to help her team defensively and is now going to try to help her team offensively as she bats here against starting pitcher Alex Hendrian, still at it for Florida Tech. She has thrown 90 pitches entering this inning.
You don't always have a chance to help yourself in the circle as a player. Not the case for Galehouse, as, she's been able to try to help herself get the win decision.
It's under it and caught by Brooklyn Lorenzo for out number 1. And the sun, for all intents and purposes, set here in Tampa as the team is playing under the lights with Alexa Russo, the number 4 hitter for Tampa, stepping into the batter's box. she does have an RBI single. There's one to left field and caught nicely by Chloe Ferriello for out number 2.
That's an important out there for Ferriello because you're getting 2 of the best Spartan bats out in a row. Of course, if you get sold out here, you got to be feeling really good for the Panthers because it would be 6, 7, 8 due up in the next inning. And Hendrian, who'd be ready to go for the 9th inning because you always have to take defense and extras if you're the visiting team. You always have a bottom of the inning to go to.
Yeah, I would say let's listen for the collective exhale by the Panthers if they can get Salt out in this at-bat. And that one hit her. So Salt will be on base in a hit-by-pitch with 2 outs in the bottom of inning number 8. And so the Spartans catcher Kenna Kreidler with an opportunity. And we're going to have a pinch runner as Salt can nurse the wound from that hit-by-pitch and be replaced by Daisy Watterson running over at first base instead.
I think if you're the Spartans, you got to be super aggressive with Watterson. You have to steal second here because the worst case scenario is if you steal second, Kreidler just starts out the next inning at the plate, and being one of the best walk drawers and on-base players for the Spartans, she's kind of the ideal player to start an inning because she'd be able to get on base and potentially get sacrificed over to second or third where you can then win the game, maybe calling back one of the pinch hitters from the bench at the bottom of the order. So I don't think you try to let the inning be resolved by Kreidler until you have that runner at second.
And there she goes, and she is out. The Spartans do try the stolen base attempt. Watterson not successful. And we are through 8 complete as the Spartans get no runs, no hits, no Panther errors, and no runners left on base. We'll be back with the top of inning number 9 after this break on TampaSpartans.tv. The Florida Tech Panthers live to see another half inning as they come to the plate here in the top of inning number 9, a 3-3 game. The 5, 6, and 7 hitters for the visitors this half inning. And specifically, it's designated player.
Not Ryder, actually. It's the 23 off the bench for Florida Tech.
Shortle.
Shortle.
So 23 instead of 22. Galehouse ready. And that one is going to drop for a base hit. And so Samantha Shortle comes into the game and starts off inning number 9 with a single. And that'll bring up Haley Mix, the number 6 hitter. She's 0 for 3 in this game. The glass half full Panthers fans would say, well, great, that means that she's due.
Yeah, I think the thing is here, she's going to go for the bunt.
Throw down to second, and it deflects off of Seawick. And now over to third, and safe is the call by umpire Taylor Cornway. And so Samantha Shortle, all of a sudden, all the way at third with nobody out here in the top of the 9th.
I think they might have completely missed that call because we didn't have a good view of it she must have dropped it at third base. There was no other way that the runner would be safe.
There's a bunt dropped, and Galehouse now fires to first, and Cornway says that she was safe, she being Mix. So runners on the corners, yes, getting back to the play that you're talking about at third. Alexa Russo had a look of disbelief on her face. Of course, you're always going to sell that regardless of the circumstances when the call doesn't go your way. But that would be one to look at on replay tomorrow. In the meantime, nobody out, runners on the corners. And this is Brooklyn Lorenzo. So the Panthers threatening here in the top of the ninth. And now Galehouse is 1-0. Lorenzo showing bunt, backs off. And Kreidler wanted to throw it to second, did not. And Haley Mix advances. So 2 runners in scoring position for Florida Tech. And a 1-1 pitch coming to Lorenzo now. Drops down a bunt and no.
They're calling that a fair ball, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if the umpires are trying to speed up the game or anything, but that was clearly bouncing multiple times in the batter's box. That should have been foul.
A very strange turn of events here in more ways than one, as the bases are loaded with Panthers and nobody out in the top of the ninth. And this is the catcher, Danny Siegel. And for Galehouse, it is vital that she not let any of this phase her and stay locked in the zone, or this could get away from the Spartans quickly with there being nobody out. And does just catch the corner of the strike zone. So 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Siegel.
And I think the good news, Bruce, is that for Galehouse, she's one of the most mature players in terms of experience for this team. She's the type of player who can stay locked in and shake off some of those interesting safe and out and fair calls that have kind of been going to start. The first play, I thought she was out at third. I do think that her throw to first base on the bunt was a little bit late, and that last play, that's just one where you got to just throw up your arms and say, hey, they've got a better view than us.
Galehouse bobbles it, throws it home. So the Spartans do prevent the Panthers from taking the lead. Still only 1 out. Top of the ninth. And the bases are still loaded. So it's only partially good news, as the Panthers are at the bottom of the order as Malaya Nelson comes in to hit here. And Galehouse gets strike 1. And there's one fouled out of play down the left field line.
And Nelson had a sacrifice back in the 7th and a single back in the 6th.
The 0-2 from Galehouse on the way. And fouled past the third base bag. The 0-2, and not played as Fantone came in from left field to back up Seawick, and the Panthers do get a run across, and still just 1 out here in the top of inning number 9. And without overstating it, it more or less goes from bad to worse, as the Panthers are now at the top of the order. This is Ella Niles. And keep in mind that the bases are still loaded.
Yeah, it got past Seawick at short, but Fantone made sure 2 didn't score on the play.
You do have to give Lauren Fantone credit to be in the position that she was defensively to play that ball, as you mentioned, when Seawick was unable to. You can cut the tension with a knife inside Namoli Family Stadium as Galehouse delivers a 2-1. And now falls behind 3-1.
Just a little low.
And off the glove of Russo, that one's going to go into the outfield. And the Panthers, everything breaking their way here as runs are crossing the plate. And winding up all the way at third is Ella Niles. And the Panthers really breaking things open here in the top of the ninth. 4 runs this half inning and still only 1 out. A 7-3 Panther lead. And Kenna Kryler is going to come out and talk to her pitcher, Mariah Galehouse.
You don't really get this kind of result often. A bases clearing single, because the throw from Keister to home, trying to prevent the second run from scoring, completely missed home plate. And that not only took a weird bounce to allow Siegel to score from second, Nelson made it home from first on the play, and that ends up with Niles at third. All those runs will be unearned because that's yet another error, but so it does preserve the stellar ERA for Galehouse, but it is a 4-run inning, and it's the most that Galehouse has conceded in an entire match this season, let alone a single inning. Entered today with just 15 runs allowed and 8 earned on the season. Now it's 19 runs allowed.
And for the first time, the body language of Mariah Galehouse indicated great frustration. And now she has reset, sends in a pitch that is fouled off by Chloe Ferriello, the number 2 hitter.
And also, unless there's a miracle for the Spartans, she'd be in line for the loss, her first of the campaign.
Her next pitch, and leaning back was Ferriello as Tyrone Miller rings up strike 2. And that one's batted to short, over to first in time for out number 2. Give these Panthers credit, though. They have not given up. Watched the Spartans claw back and tie this game in the bottom of inning number 7 and hang around to force what has become inning number 9 and then just kick the door open with 4 runs. I'm going to go so far as to say so far.
Yeah, I
the
mean,
top of the 9th.
They're a team that's fighting to keep postseason hopes alive. They need to have a couple of big wins coming down to the closing stages of the season to try to get into that top 8 for postseason play. And, you know, they are very hungry for the win today. They've been playing at the best of their ability here.
Celeste Casillas with a base hit to left field, and another run crosses the plate as Niles scores, and the lead grows to 8-3 for the Panthers.
And they have really been able to sort of lock in. They've only had 2 times they've scored today in the 6th and 9th innings, but they've scored a lot when they have brought things around. When they hit the ball, they're doing it back to back to back to back to back, basically.
And this is the cleanup hitter, Miranda Schwartz. Schwartz had a 2 RBI double in the 6th, and now bats that one to Russo. Over to Salt for out number 3. Lots of damage by Florida Tech, however. 5 runs on 4 hits. There were 2 Spartan errors and 1 Florida Tech runner left on base. After 8.5 innings, the Panthers with a big 8-3 lead. We'll be back with the Spartans bottom half of the 9th after this on TampaSpartans.tv. The Tampa Spartans, to put it mildly, have their work cut out for them, trailing by 5 in the bottom of inning number 9, and at risk for losing back-to-back games.
Yeah, and that's not something the Spartans have done all year long. They were in a similar position back in their previous home defeat on February 7th. They lost Game 1 as the stand is 1 game, and then in Game 2, they were trailing 5 runs in the bottom of the 7th. And with 1 away and the bases empty, they then manufactured a brilliant comeback. They would need to tap into that comeback magic again today. And, it feels like the Panthers have just got that magic today as they were able to score a 5-run top of the 9th. So it'll be tricky to see if the Spartans could. Hendry needs 3 more outs.
What's also exceptionally rare is for the Spartans to lose at home. A 26-1 one-loss record at home coming into this game. And here they are 3 outs away from going down to defeat. As the 2-0 pitch is low and in the dirt, the batter is Spartans catcher Kenna Kreidler. Kreidler is 0 for 3 in this game. And now here comes the 3-0 to her. Leans back and draws the base on balls. You could say that Kreidler was due. Well, she reached base in some form, and that's all you can ask for. And that'll bring up Kate DeSimone.
For sure. And continue what you mentioned, Bruce. Tampa's best win streak of all time was 19 wins in a row entering this season. Tampa, of course, went on a 25-game win streak to get a new record this year. But now, if you also look, Tampa's riding a 22 home game win streak into today from that late 5-run comeback against West Alabama. So, again, kind of to emphasize, this is a team that loves to play at home, and West Alabama, or not West Alabama, Florida Tech, if they could give Tampa their second home defeat of the season like this, that would be very impressive for the Panthers.
And keep in mind that these two teams have a scheduled doubleheader tomorrow, so it's got to be a huge, huge shot in the arm for the Panthers heading into that. And still 3 outs away, of course, from finishing this one off, as DeSimone has fallen behind in the count 1-2. Her teammate Kenna Kreidler over at first base after drawing a base on balls to start off the bottom of the 9th. A 1-2 on the way from Hendrian, and DeSimone, a hit by pitch. So we're going to have 2 Spartans players lead off the inning, reaching base without even making contact with their bat on the ball.
And this is where the fatigue will set in for Hendry. And she's had a ton of complete games this season. We got a pinch hitter coming into the game for the Spartans. Going to be replacing Kylie Seaweck. Is it going to be Ava Ramirez again or someone new? I think it is the latter. It's someone new, I think. But also you see someone headed out there to the bullpen to warm up. I imagine that'll be Sammy Murphy or Jacqueline Golden. There's either the 9 or 16 or both of them out there. And you wonder, how much of a leash do you give Hendrian in this spot, as it's going to be Kelsey Winters entering the game off the bench?
Interesting choice by Leslie Cantor. Although here again, Hendrian has seen all these Spartan hitters, and so it's new for both of them. Winters and Hendrian facing one another for the first time all game here in the bottom of inning number 9. Keep in mind, runners on first and second for the Spartans. And the 1-0 to Winters. Count goes even 1-1.
I think this outing today from Gale House going 2 or 3 2/3 in the circle means that we'll probably see a Winters start this weekend, given that Gale House had a very long day today, and I'm not fully sure if she'll get a start tomorrow or just be ready as a immediate bullpen kind of piece, but we're all getting a chance to see Winters at the plate again. Like Gale House, a two-way player, well, and DeSimone too, hasn't really played defense that often though.
And you saw Winters take ball 2, so the 2-1 to her now, swings and fouls it back. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 11 hits for Florida Tech, 5 for the Spartans. And both coaches would tell you too many errors, part of the stat line as well, as Hendrian gets set with her 2-2 offering to Kelsey Winters, and right to third, and they try it at second. Overthrow, and the runners will hold. Kreidler is safe at second. A hard line out by Kelsey Winters to the third base player, Miranda Schwartz.
Now it's going to bring Olivia Feldman off the bench here with one away. But that is a huge missed throw to second because the game's complexion is so different if that runner is out at second and you get that second out here in the bottom of the ninth. That really, I think, just kills the Spartans' momentum and wouldn't immediately secure the win for Florida Tech. But, 2 outs trying to make up 5 runs, that's going to be almost impossible. You still have a bit of hope with 4, as it's going to be Olivia Feldman off the bench.
First pitch from Hendry into Feldman, and strike 1 to the sophomore from over in Lithia, Florida. Attended Newsom High School. And the 0-1 to her coming from Hendrian, and that one is low as the count goes even.
Yeah, and Feldman has followed of her sister Mary Beth Feldman to U Tampa, a sophomore, only 1 for 11 in the season at the plate, but looking for a high leverage hit right here.
Ball 2. Pitch on the way. Sent to the outfield where it's caught by Shortle, and the Spartans are down to their last out following that catch in right center field. And they do go back to the top of the order, and the veteran Lauren Fantone. Fantone, you mentioned 3 times in this game, has reached base on miscues. And there you see strike 1 to her.
Yeah, back in the first, gone on via error. In the third, got on via error and saved the Spartans after bouncing the ball off of Hendrian to bring a run home. She was out at first, but she sent the game to extra innings with that play.
That one for a ball. The 1-1, Fantone underneath it, called for and caught, and that is the ball game as Florida Tech rides a big top of the ninth to victory for an 8-3 win as the Spartans come up empty in the bottom of the ninth inning and drop their second straight game to fall to 35-5. Florida Tech improves to 28-18. And Taylor, I'm tempted to say we saw almost everything in this game.
Everything except a home run. That's usually the case for a lot of these Spartan games. You get a lot of crazy moments, and this one was no exception. Extra innings, fielding errors, a couple of squeeze bunt attempts that had, I think, gone foul a couple times for Florida Tech late in the game. But, a lot of offense. And the Panthers, for the first time in a while, have given Tampa a home defeat.
Florida Tech finishes with 8 runs on 11 hits. The Spartans 3 runs on 5 hits. Tough sledding. Tampa led this one 2-0 after 5, and then watched it get away as Florida Tech got 3 in the top of the 6th, 5 in the top of the 9th. And the visitors win it to start the 3-game series. We'll be back here tomorrow afternoon for a scheduled doubleheader with Game 1 at 1 o'clock. For Taylor Stolworthy, I'm Bruce Wozniak, thanking you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon right here on TampaSpartans.tv.